Joining me now is former NATO Supreme Allied Commander and MSNBC Chief International Security Analyst, Admiral James Stavridis. Admiral, it's always good to have you here, sir. First of all, what do you make of the timing of this new video released by Hamas, coming as the Biden administration hoped the Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire will spark a similar deal with Hamas?
Well, first, it's simply heartbreaking, inhumane, cruel beyond words that Hamas, who captured, by all accounts, is tortured, continues to hold these hostages. It tells you everything you need to know about this vicious terrorist organization. I think point two is that the Israelis are going to continue to do all they can to rescue the hostages, and the Netanyahu administration has indicated they're willing to pay $5 million for any of these hostages, and I think also offer free passage out of Gaza to those who have been holding them. I think that's designed to drive a wedge inside the remnants of Hamas. And then third and finally, Alex, clearly it's a message directed to Team Trump. I think it's quite noticeable that they don't even mention the Biden administration. They talk about Trump. And that's very typical globally at the moment. People are looking past the Biden administration and looking toward Trump.
Which is extraordinary, given the fact that there are 7 more weeks of this administration, and every single day, if not hour and minute, counts when you think about that. But so this tenuous ceasefire, it appears to largely be holding despite several Israeli strikes. Do you expect it will hold for 60 days? And if you don't, does it just indicate the challenges to reaching a permanent ceasefire deal? How do you see them? What are the biggest challenges?
Well, first and foremost, I think the ceasefire will probably hold. And the reason is because the incentives, both for the Israelis and for Hezbollah, run toward keeping the ceasefire in place. From the Israeli side, Netanyahu is deeply committed to getting 60 to 70,000 Israelis back into their homes in northern Israel. It's very different than down in Gaza. The Israelis are not trying to move Israelis into Gaza or run Gaza. Up north, what they want is to get their own Israeli citizens back. So their motivations lean toward a ceasefire. And on the Hezbollah side, they're battered. They had a cadre of leaders taken out by the Israelis in a variety of different ways, including the exploding beeper caper, as well as at the moment, Iran, which is the funding source for Hezbollah, is on their back foot as well. So I think both sides up north are looking for a ceasefire. The question, Alex, you've got it exactly right, is whether this could lead to a ceasefire in Gaza. There, I'm less optimistic, frankly.
Well, frankly, as well, Hezbollah said it would not agree to a deal until a ceasefire was reached in Gaza. But then Hamas's militia, it has been severely weakened. Its leader, Yahya Sinwar, is dead. President-elect Trump has said Israel should do whatever it needs to win the war. Now with Hamas's most important ally potentially out of the fight, how does that impact the war in Gaza? Could Hamas agree to a ceasefire if it thinks it's going to get more favorable terms under Biden than Trump?
That would be a pretty good theory, but I don't see Hamas as being nimble enough at this moment to take advantage of this remaining 7-week interregnum. Let's recall Sinwar is dead. Sinwar Sr., it appears his brother may be now running the organization, but it's a shadow of its former self. It's having grave difficulty getting organized. It can't communicate. It's under constant attack. So I think the idea that they'll be clever enough to cut some kind of nuanced deal with the Biden administration, frankly, unlikely. Where we all ought to be putting pressure at this moment is on the Arab states and any others who are providing support to Hamas. Obviously, Iran, a Persian state, but until very recently, for example, Qatar hosted Hamas officials. They've been kicked out. It appears, shockingly to me, they may be reconstituting, Alex, in Turkey, which is a place where the U.S. could put real pressure on the government in order to put pressure on Hamas. So I think Hamas must feel the walls closing in. and they would be smart to cut a deal as quickly as they can. I'm just not sure they're nimble enough or well led enough to do so.
Okay, Admiral, I always appreciate your very keen insights and all your experience. Thanks for sharing it with us.